with this Australian journalist and anchor that has been arrested in China. You get the sense, given what's going on at the moment with beef and barley and wine, that perhaps it's a bit more than an arrest.
Well, I'd certainly hope that wasn't the case, Peter. Obviously, I don't have any detailed information about this individual case. And of course, what we will want to see here is that the assistance of the Australian government goes to people in these situations as much as possible. So I'm not going to comment on detail about the case, except to say that I'm sure every assistance will be available from the Australian government, and I hope a good outcome can be achieved for all involved. OK,
let's talk about something that you got a lot of detail on. It's the Collinsville power station. So you had a win last night, which means the feasibility study can continue. Does that mean the project will actually go ahead?
Well, look, I'd love to see it happen, Peter. I want to see more power stations built in this country because I want to see Australia bring back manufacturing jobs to this country. If we don't harness our natural resources, our energy resources, we won't be a country that makes things anymore. And we've got all this wonderful resource that we export to the world. Why shouldn't we keep some of it here to create jobs here for Australians? That's what I want to see. Now, obviously, the work needs to be done now. We did have a win in the Senate. The Labor Party, teaming up with their mates, the Greens, tried to knock off jobs in North Queensland. They failed last night in the Senate, so this will proceed. It'll take about a year for this study to go through and have a look, and they'll try and put together a business case that can see them go forward. So I wish them the best. Of course, I want to see investment and jobs happen in this country. OK.
Well, not everyone in the coalition is for it. Most people believe that the feasibility study needed to happen because it was an election promise. But beyond that, Dave Sharma says that the new coal-fired power generation does not stack up economically or environmentally. Jason Falinsky had said the study won't lead to a new coal-fired power station because there are more economically efficient and environmentally cleaner options for power generation. What are your thoughts on that, and how does that compare to what people up in the north are saying?
Well, quite simply, I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong because people and countries are continuing to build coal-fired power stations around the world. We've never exported more coal than we have from this country. So if those views were right, why is Japan, China, Korea, India all doing the wrong things, continuing to build and use coal-fired power? I think those people might be just those billions of people in those communities might just be right, and the views of some MPs in inner-city Sydney electorates maybe is just more informed by their own electorates, because I can understand maybe there are some views of people in Sydney who do not want to see North Queensland access cheap, reliable power, but I certainly want to see it happen. The people of North Queensland want to see it happen. The people of North Queensland voted for it, and I think it would be a little bit hypocritical for the people of New South Wales, who I checked yesterday night, were relying 80% of their power on coal. 80% of the electricity being generated in New South Wales yesterday was coal. The figure for North Queensland is 0. There are no coal-fired power stations in North Queensland. So just let us have one. Let us have one, and maybe you can shut down a couple if you've got some moral guilt.
Well, I mean, I read a report yesterday that suggested some 80% of people in Townsville were for Collinsville. So does that show? Is that an indicator of the city-country divide?
Well, look, I actually think the support for coal-fired power stations is more widespread than some people imagine. There was a poll in The Australian a couple of years ago which said that more than half of Australians supported the building of new coal-fired power stations. That was right around the country. I would hazard a guess that it is higher in North Queensland because we know and can see how important our coal is for the world. We know and can see how high our power prices are. So a business in North Queensland will pay about 50% more for their power than one in southern Queensland because there are no reliable power stations in North Queensland, and a lot of the power has to be transported up from the south. And so that's a cost. And so that's why that extra demand is there, because they can see it. They can see in front of their eyes how lacking a power station holds their development and jobs back. And of course, they'd like to see that for their children.
It's a big national cabinet this Friday, Senator. The Prime Minister definitely pushing for interstate travel to take place. We've got the New South Wales government announcing today that there's going to be some restrictions around its border with Victoria. Up in Queensland, though, Anastasia Palaszczuk, well, she's still shutting up shop. There's going to be no chance of that, apparently, before the Queensland election. What do you make of where we are at the moment when it comes to national unity? It seems like that doesn't exist.
Well, it is a bit dispiriting. It's particularly dispiriting with the key word that you mentioned there, the election. It seems to me that the Queensland government is now making decisions based on political science, not pandemic science. It seems to me that Anastasia Palaszczuk is turning this more into a political form of the state of origin rather than a concerted effort to suppress a terrible disease. We've seen the absolute absurdity in the last couple of weeks of the Premier of Queensland saying Queensland hospitals are only for Queenslanders, when I think they should be for sick people. Now, I welcome the fact that belatedly the Queensland government is setting up some kind of commission or agency to try and handle the requests, the basic requests for health assistance that they have so grossly mismanaged. That is a step forward. But I would just ask that the Premier's put the national interest first here. We do need to make sure we continue to provide exemptions for food producers, for those in terrible health circumstances. And we do need a roadmap to get our economy going again. We cannot keep large parts of our economy on life support for too much longer. We're racking up debt, jobs are going, and we need to have a pathway here that keeps our economy going and helps industries doing it really tough like tourism.